All right. After being bitten by a radioactive bird, somewhat mannered T. Tuthill was compelled, nay, possessed, to become Skydude. This is going to be episode 131, The Adventures of Skydude. Today we're going to be doing our DCS World training. We're going to go through all the basic training again, or most of it, and then try to get some dogfight practice in today. And we will start that in just a minute. Let me finish getting a couple of things loaded here, and we'll be right on our way.
And dollar bills, it's the price you pay for feeling okay. You're the strangest girl I've ever met, sending weird signals to my head. I've been thinking about fixing my brain, but I'm afraid I won't feel the same. 'Cause baby, it's all I do. I've been thinking about fixing my brain, but I'm afraid I won't feel the same.
Almost done.
Baby, it's all I do.
Getting a very late start today.
Spending more and more time up in bed, thinking about the things I think you said. It's been on my mind, and it's hard to find. Bad habits come and go. I'm afraid my mind is getting slow. I've been thinking about fixing my brain, but I'm afraid I won't feel the same. 'Cause baby, it's all I do. I've been thinking about fixing my brain, but I'm afraid I won't feel the same. 'Cause baby, it's all I do. I swear it's not so hard to understand. I just wanna get in the sun again, the sun again, the sun again, the sun again. I swear it's not so hard to understand. I just wanna get in the sun again, the sun again, the sun again, the sun again.
Huh. All right. Brad Sucks fixing my brain. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be in time and space. Kinneas here. Back for episode 131. Sorry, getting a really late start today. Hello to anybody coming in from Twitter. Please say hi in the chat room, especially if you have a YouTube channel. I don't care if you have any content or not. I want to subscribe to you. And it would make it so easy for me to do so if you just said hi or something in the chat room. And I can easily click on your name and click subscribe. It'll give me an option to go right to your channel. And we can all have a look at your channel if you don't mind. If you are interested in us having a look at your channel. All right, so the chat room's up now. Everything seems to be in place. I just got to get the head tracker software going here in just a moment. And okay, so again, the plan is to do the basic training again and go through all that, and then finish the day out with some dogfighting again. So if you've never gone through the training, I will show you what it is all about. Really don't need a whole lot of head tracking stuff for this, but hope you're having a great day. Looking forward to tomorrow. Going to be starting an hour early tomorrow for the Microsoft Flight Simulator fly-in. Right, and I adjusted my live streams times to coordinate with theirs, and then they changed their times. So now they're starting at 12 MST instead of 1 MST. So yeah, tomorrow we'll be starting an hour early, and it's supposed to be 2 hours, and then I don't know what we'll do. Maybe Hans and Henning will be around. Henning and Hans, and maybe we'll get some dogfighting in. I'm not sure. We might also just now try our hand at a dogfight in dogfight multiplay, but I don't know that I'm quite ready. But we've had some really good successes this week. Considering when I first started this, oh my gosh, I did not want to live stream. I did not want to live stream this at all. And do live streams with the DCS world and show my training, but because it's so painful and so sad. It's just so absolutely sad. We're still loading. Oh, it's so pathetic, you know, and it's so hard. And you really have to go to school and take a lot of notes but I did it this time around to document progression. I tried my hand at it in the past and I gave up. It was just too darn hard. But now that I've been bitten by a radioactive bird and I have been possessed to become Skydude, now I am possessed. It's still loading. Well, while we're waiting, after all these flying, after all these years, you'd think that I would have flying dreams. Because I've been doing it non-stop since, 1 year before Microsoft Flight Simulator came out, I was in the alpha of it. So I was flying all day long. But surprisingly, I haven't had a lot of flying dreams. Or I can't recall really any. Until last night. So with all this dogfighting last night I dreamed I was Superman. And I was doing all these maneuvers that we were doing in DCS world in my dream last night, and I gotta tell you, it was pretty darn incredible. It was a wild dream. They're like, have you ever flown in your dreams? I have now, and it was incredible. And I was dogfighting as Superman. As a Superman, a Skydude, I guess, you know? But I felt like I was Superman. Wow. It is still loading. You like that tune when we came in, Brad Sucks Fixing My Brain. The link to it, the link to that song, and you can find him from there, his channel, is in the description. It's taking a sweet time loading today. And this is an easy one. This is all you gotta do is take off. That's it. Get things started up and take off, and that's the mission. All right. Finally. Okay. Heo by Arthur Uria. It's the music in the background there.
Welcome to the SU-25T Frogfoot. The Frogfoot, also called the Gratch, is a very capable ground attack aircraft that can destroy most anything on the battlefield. Before we start blowing things up, though, let's first learn how to start up this bird and taxi to the runway. The first thing I'll ask you to do is turn on the electrical power by pressing right shift and L.
Right shift L. Oh, I'm not back out of the window. Get back into the window, son. Right shift L.
With the electrical power now engaged, you can see that the heads-up display, or HUD, comes to life, as well as many instruments and cockpit lights. Before moving the aircraft, make sure that more than 3 minutes have elapsed in order to let the horizontal situation indicator gyro to align properly. Now that we have power, let's turn on the navigation lights by pressing right, control, and L.
Right control. Team, come on.
Next, let's close the canopy by pressing left, control, and C.
I don't see it. You know, well, it's light out, so canopy, left control, C.
Our next step is to start our two engines. Before you do so, make sure your throttle controller has a 0 power setting.
Right.
Start the left engine by pressing right, alt, and home.
Right, alt, home.
With the left engine started, press right, control, and home to start.
Right, control, home.
Off the lower left corner of the TV display is the engine gauge, with needles marked 1 and 2 for the two engines.
Hmm?
When an engine is being started, one of the two green lights below the gauge will light. Once the light turns off, it indicates that the engine is ready for operation. In the lower left corner of the dash is an aircraft symbol that indicates the status of your flaps, landing gear, and air brake. Lower your flaps to the takeoff position by pressing left shift and F.
Left shift F.
We're now ready to taxi, so slowly increase the throttles by moving your throttle control forward or pressing page up. To reduce throttle, use your throttle controller or press page down. To use the wheel brakes, press W. Start rolling forward and turn to the left of the taxiway ahead. Press Z to steer left and press X to steer right. Nice job. You're now heading in the right direction. Keep your taxi speed around 10 kilometers per hour. As you taxi, use small, smooth rudder corrections to keep you aligned on the center of the taxiway. At the fork, hang a right to reach the runway. As we taxi, you can go to external view by pressing F2 and return to the cockpit by pressing F1. You can zoom in and out using the keypad star and / keys. Rotate the views using the keypad directional keys. We've now reached the runway threshold. Taxi onto the runway to the right and align yourself down the length of it. Once aligned down the runway, increase thrust of both engines to maximum and use gentle inputs on the rudder, X and Z, to keep you tracking down the center line. When your airspeed, as indicated in the top left corner of the HUD, indicates about 250 kilometers per hour, gently pull back on the controller and allow the aircraft to fly itself off the runway. Don't yank the controller back to force the aircraft into the air. As mentioned before, your airspeed in kilometers per hour is indicated in the top left corner of the HUD. In the top right-hand corner of the HUD is your altitude in meters. Between the altitude and speed indications is your heading tape. With positive climb established, raise the landing gear by pressing G. In the center of the HUD is the pitch and roll indication, and along the right side of the HUD is your pitch ladder and vertical velocity indication. Go ahead and raise the flaps by pressing left control and F. This concludes this lesson on starting up the SU-25T, taxiing, and taking off. You can now play it now by pressing the escape key.
Do 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 do. Lesson 2, basic flight controls and navigation. If I fail any of these on the first time through, we're just going to run through them. If I fail them, I fail them. But, you know, whatever happens, we're not going to keep trying any of them over and over again. We're just going to go through them.
Welcome to this lesson on the basic flying and navigation of the SU-25T. This lesson will teach you how to get from point A to point Z and all points in between. I currently have the lesson in active pause. If you wish, you can turn on cockpit lighting by pressing L. Your airspeed is indicated in the top left corner of the HUD. The horizontal line below the airspeed indication with the caret below it indicates your acceleration or deacceleration. If the caret is on the left side of the line, you are deaccelerating. If it is in the center, your speed is not changing, and if it is on the right side of the line, you are accelerating. The smaller number above is your set airspeed for that leg of the route when you're in navigation mode. Press the spacebar to continue.
So again, upper left corner, it says 620 in the top, 630 below. So 620 is the desired speed they would like us at. We are at 630. And the caret, the triangle, is in the middle, meaning we're going the same rate. We're not accelerating or decelerating. All right, let me check my throttle, put it right in the middle, and press the spacebar to continue.
Your altitude in meters is indicated in the top right corner of your HUD. An R to the right indicates it is radar altitude, or height above ground, and not barometric, height above sea level altitude. The smaller number above is your desired barometric altitude for that leg of the route. Press the spacebar to continue.
So the desired altitude is 570 feet. And your altitude is at the top right. An R indicates radar altitude or height above the ground, and not barometric, height above sea level. The small number above is your desired barometric altitude, but I don't know how to do any conversion between barometric and that. I wish they would keep them the same. Hey, Henny's in the chat room. Hey, no problem at all. No problem at all. Today I'm going through the training and going to be going through dogfighting again at the end. So nothing special going on today, sir. Just practice, practice, practice. And try to put it all together. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it all works out.
This provides you course steering to the next waypoint. By flying the aircraft to align the circle in the center of the bank and pitch indicator in the center of the HUD, you will reach your next destination on the course line. The course line is the direct line between two waypoints. Press the spacebar to continue. In the bottom center of your front dash is a horizontal situation indicator, or HSI, that looks like a compass. The yellow needle points directly to your next waypoint, and the top left field indicates the range in kilometers to that waypoint. The top right field indicates your course bearing to reach the next waypoint. The double white needles points to your course intercept. When you're on course to the next waypoint, both the yellow and white needles will align. Press the spacebar to continue.
That one's a little bit trickier. The HSI.
A series of gates to fly through. Fly through the first gate directly ahead of you. You can push the control stick forward to push the nose down and dive, or pull back the stick to raise the nose and climb. These inputs control your elevator. Use the throttle, or page up and page down, control your thrust. Try to keep your airspeed around 620 kilometers per hour. Press the spacebar when you're ready, and I will unpause the lesson.
Okay, and I will in just a moment. But Henning is saying in the chat room, and you're like, who's Henning? It's Burger, LOL. In the chat room, he says, I flew the ornithopter for the first time earlier today, and it is super fun, especially like diving. Absolutely. It may not be like a full simulated thing, but it is a hoot. And tomorrow we are going to be doing the Microsoft fly-in. So I'll be starting an hour early tomorrow, and if you have an opportunity to tune it should be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of people flying. There's going to be ornithopters filling the sky tomorrow. Usually there are. A lot of people join in on those community fly-ins. But they've changed their time. Normally, I had my time set to their broadcast time. And they've decided to change their times now to 12 MST instead of 1 MST. So, yeah, tomorrow will be a one-off for the fly-in. And so if you're around, I really recommend joining in the fly-in. And if you just want to see what it's all about, tune in here, and I'll be trying to show my screen and some of what's going on Twitch. Okay, great. All right, well, let me go ahead and put myself back to position here and unpause.
Note that when you pass through a gate, the next one's sequence will become larger if it's rather far away. If you get too fast, reduce the throttle and toggle your air brakes by pressing B. The next gate is above you and to the left. To change your heading, use your aircraft's ailerons to roll the aircraft to the left by moving your control stick to the left and then gently.
I forgot to change the screen again. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Pulling back on the stick until you are aligned with the next gate. The next two gates are below you and to the right. This time, roll the aircraft to the right and lower your nose to fly through the gates. Fly through the next gate directly ahead. As you go faster, your nose will want to rise, and as you go slower, the nose will want to fall. To keep your nose level, try using the trim. To trim the nose up, press right control and period. To trim the nose down, press right control and semicolon.
I really recommend getting the trim button set up on your joystick somewhere. I use the trigger and thumb button. That's what I use for Microsoft Flight Simulator as well for the trim.
Keep flying through the gates ahead. As mentioned in the previous lesson, you can also move your nose side to side using the rudder called yaw. Yaw left by pressing Z and yaw right by pressing X.
Now I have on my joystick, I have one of those sidewinders where you can twist. But my rudder is set to the Twist axis. Little nose trim up.
In the lower center of the HUD, you can see the range indication to the next waypoint.
Yes, we can.
In the lower right portion of the HUD is the next waypoint number, in this case, 15.
Right. Let me pause there a second. And he says the War Thunder grind is going wild right now. I need to break from air battles because of toxic teammates. So I started to grind ground battles a little bit, and now I don't want to go back to air battles. That's funny. That's too bad that you've got toxic mates. And I've been asking you that, you know, like, should I give up on this? Well, let me ask you this. Is it easier to set up a dogfight match? Can you just do a one-on-one PvP dogfight in War Thunder? Or is it basically like this, where you're going to get a huge map and a bunch of crap going on, and you know, I'm really hoping, I've got my fingers crossed since it's new, that you can set up a really, really easy PvP against somebody. And everybody's been telling me to get War Thunder. So, you know, I guess maybe that's the direction we're going to be going soon. Not entirely certain. Oh, that's a drag. There's no, I don't think so, but I'll look into it. Yeah, it'd be really nice if they...
You have several autopilot modes that can be quite useful during long flights. These include altitude hold, left alt and 1, altitude and roll hold, left alt and 2.
You pause right there. Hey, if you've never done this before, get your notepad out and write this information down. It's critical. Well, you don't have to, but I find that it's critical to know how to use your autopilot, especially when it comes to navigation. Navigation can be very hard, and you might get incredibly frustrated trying to learn navigation. And it's better sometimes if you let the autopilot handle the course tracking for you. All right? So do yourself a favor, write this information down, pay attention to what he's saying, and try to practice using your autopilot as much as you can. But that's my opinion. I definitely recommend trying to learn how to do navigation manually. And I've been trying, and it kind of works. I kind of get it, but it's a little strange to me.
Level flight, left alt and 3, barometric altitude hold, left alt and 4, radar altitude hold, left alt and 5, route follow, left alt and 6. You can also toggle route follow mode by pressing A and altitude hold by pressing H. Let's try route follow mode that will automatically fly our flight plan. Press left alt and 6.
Left alt 6.
Good. The aircraft is now under autopilot control. This concludes this lesson. You can practice using some of the autopilot modes listed below, or you can end the lesson now by pressing the escape key.
All right, so if we just wanted to do an alt hold, well, you might find that you have to cancel out whatever input is currently in. I'm getting into the habit of doing that, and that's not listed up there. It's Alt 9. Alt 9, left Alt 9, should cancel any and all autopilot inputs. Let me watch this for a minute. So Route 6, I want to see if it goes through the gates. You're having problems with carrier landings, huh? I don't know what I'm doing wrong with carrier landings since my landing gear always collapses. I'm not overweight. I'm not high feet per minute. Not high angle of attack. Watching EXE single guide on YouTube and doing training. I understand. I'm not good at carrier landings at all. So I have no advice. Okay, Alt 9. Cancel out any inputs. Okay, number 1. Altitude hold is Alt 1. Or, it should be angle hold. Let's see here what it's doing. It's not leveling out. It's just holding whatever I've got it at. Clear that out again. Alt 9. You straighten up. Come down to 10. Alt. It should be pitch. Alt 1. Okay, so it'll hold your pitch. Okay. Now, if you want to, let's say you're dogfighting or you need a circle and you're just damn tired of holding it over to circle. Alt 9 to clear it out. And you just want to hold a turn. You want to keep your nose up a tiny bit and hold a small bank or whatever. Alt 2. Let me let go of the stick there. Okay, so you see how it's holding us whenever I clicked it. It's holding us at the proper roll angle and the proper altitude. Alt 3 was, I normally just use those. Let's see what, go back here. Yeah, level flight, duh. Level flight is Alt 3. Barometric altitude hold is 4. I have found no way in this plane to change your barometer so you can set it. If there's a setting, I'll have to find it. Radar altitude, left Alt 5, and route follow, which we're doing now, or was doing, left Alt 6. So go back. Okay, so we're in roll. Let me just try to do an Alt 3 and force it out of this. Okay, Alt 3 has overrode it. And again, now it's going to fly level once it figures itself out. Now you might think that level is that solid bar on the HUD up there, but it's actually just like a little bit above it. See, there's a notch right there where it's going to 0. It's that notch right there. It's not the line. Even though the line says 0, it's not. I mean, the big solid bar has got a 0 on it. But if you look to the right of the HUD, where the arrow's pointing, at that notch, that's actually level. Picking up a lot of speed. Okay, the barometric hold in the HUD, if I understand right, that's 800 feet right there. It says we're at 1,342 feet. Okay, so let's do an Alt 4 and see if it goes to the barometric. No, man, I ain't got time for you right now. Sorry, buddy. I'm not getting anything happening. Let me clear out the autopilot. Alt 9. Alt 4. I don't see it doing anything at all. Okay, let's try Alt 5. That's radar hold, right? 1,252. Now, radar hold is interesting. I don't know if we can... we're pretty cloudy right at the moment. We're up in the clouds. Now, radar is interesting. Barometric hold will just hold you at whatever the barometric hold is, and I don't know why it's not working and getting us down to 800 feet. And I wish we could get out of these clouds. Radar will adjust to the terrain below you. Right? So if you're flying low and you got hills in the way, it will fly around the hills and over the hills, and it'll follow the terrain to keep you at the same height. So that comes in handy. That's a pretty cool feature. Oh, make sure we're in it and see if we can get it to do it here. Too darn cloudy. Okay, it looks like we might be going over a hill. Looks like, see how the nose, it's pitching up and down? Even though you can't see the terrain, it's adjusting to the terrain.
Fuel 1500.
Every training that you're doing is focusing on the carrier patterns more than on the landing itself. Isn't that usually the case? They always seem to withhold the really good information from you, or the secrets, the tips and the tricks. And you had a biology exam today on the, how do you pronounce that? The humping immune system. So your brain is toasted after this day. Yeah, man, just kick back and have a nice cup of tea. I don't know what you drink more. Do you drink... What is your preferred beverage? You being a German, I kind of expect you to say, well, a beer, of course. But let's not go with alcohol. Do you prefer coffee or tea? Or what is your relaxation beverage? Okay, let's get out of this mission here. Do. I'm not a big beer drinker. My friends all were growing up. I mean, you know, to have a good time, sure. I used to drink a lot. You know, it was just to party. But other than that, in now that I'm an old man, yeah, I don't drink a lot at all. Rarely. Once in a blue moon. Don't ever buy alcohol. Regular coffee's disgusting. I definitely used to think regular coffee was disgusting until my wife showed me the magic of making coffee so it doesn't come out bitter. Very rich. She makes great coffee. I've got a cat at my feet here just begging me to go outside. Let me let him out. One moment. All right. Why during a live stream, man? For your afternoon. Okay.
In this lesson, we're going to learn how to navigate to an airfield and land on it. There are 3 navigation modes that we'll be using: en route, return to base, and landing. These submodes are selected automatically at the appropriate points along the assigned flight path, but they can also be cycled manually. In this lesson, we'll use the automatic method. I currently have the lesson paused as I explain some of the finer points. Press the spacebar to continue.
I did. I must not be in the window.
What we'll learn in this lesson is how to navigate to a waypoint using en route mode, switch to return mode automatically, and then switch to landing mode automatically. We're currently in en route mode, as indicated in the bottom left corner of the HUD.
ENR.
This mode allows us to fly from waypoint to waypoint in sequence automatically, as we did in the prior navigation lesson. However, in this lesson, we'll try manual selection. Our current waypoint is 0, our starting point, as indicated in the bottom right corner of the HUD, with a range of 0. Press left control and tilde to manually select waypoint 1.
Left control and tilde.
Good. You will now see that waypoint 1 is selected with a range of 8.6 kilometers. Press left control and tilde again to select waypoint 2. You can see that waypoint 2 is 15.5 kilometers from us. As we learned in the prior lesson, we can see the direct heading to the waypoint is indicated by the yellow arrow on the HSI, and the twin white arrows indicate our path to fly the course line. Directly above the HSI is the Attitude Director Indicator, or ADI. This is a sphere with one hemisphere white and one hemisphere black. In the center of the ADI is a white aircraft symbol. This aircraft symbol stays stationary in pitch, but will rotate as you maneuver and roll. The ADI ball will move in pitch in relation to the aircraft symbol. When the aircraft symbol center is over black, your nose is below the horizon. If the aircraft symbol center is over white, your nose is pointing above the horizon. Press the spacebar to continue. In the center of the ADI are 2 yellow lines to help assist you reach the waypoint via the course line. The course line is a direct line between 2 waypoints. The vertical line indicates your required azimuth steering to reach and maintain the course line. When the yellow vertical line is centered on the ADI, you are flying on or to the course line. If the vertical line is off to either side, put your stick in that direction until the vertical line centers on the ADI and adjust your roll to keep it centered. The yellow horizontal line indicates your elevation course steering. When centered on the ADI, you are flying at or to the set course altitude for that waypoint. If the yellow line is on the lower half of the ADI, push the stick forward until the yellow horizontal line centers on the ADI and adjust pitch to keep it centered. Conversely, if the yellow horizontal line is above the center line of the ADI, pull back on the stick until the line centers. Along the top and left side of the ADI are your heading and elevation deviation scales. The more the lines are from center, the greater you are off the direct path to reach the waypoint. Let's practice this as we fly to waypoint 2. I will unpause the lesson when you press the spacebar.
All right, that's a lot of information he threw at us, okay? And it's kind of hard to understand without some other visual aids. Let's see if F10, that's our map, right? Okay, so up at the top, if I click on waypoints, okay. So the red dotted line is the course line between 2 waypoints, okay? Now the HSI in the bottom of the screen tells has another indicator, okay? And that indicator, darn it, so hard to keep my head right where I want it. Okay, so now that one will give you a course 2 if you're off of it. Let's say, I mean, we're pretty much on it at the moment, and that's why the needles in the top one, the ADI, are centered up. We're flying the course line, but it's telling us in the direction that we're going, we're going to pass it if we don't turn to the right a little bit. So we need to go turn to, in the bottom one again, the bottom display, the HSI, in the upper right hand corner of the HSI shows are the deviation that we need to turn to maintain the course line. Okay, and we're moving pretty fast, and some of the training that they give you going forward, you don't have a whole lot of time to adjust. It's not real long spans in between waypoints, but that's it in a nutshell. So this was very, very, very confusing to me, and it might be very confusing to you, and there's probably people out there that can explain it much better in their videos, but that's the way I'm understanding it, right? Okay. So again, we're going to have to make a small turn to 69 to maintain it. Let's go back out there and look at it, the F10. All right. You see that the direction our plane is going is forward. And if we keep traveling forward, we're going to deviate from the course line. So we need to turn to 69 degrees to follow the course line. That's what the HSI is telling us. Okay. Let me unpause here. Okay, you got to go now. And got some things on March 1st. Time's running fast. Anyway, see you tomorrow and happy shooting. Thank you, Captain. Thank you very much. And you are a beer drinker sometimes, but not often, seriously. You know, I think if I lived in Germany, where they actually make good beer, not that our beer here, you know, is bad, but everybody's like, look, man, you know, these Germans know what they're doing when it comes to beer. And so they all tell us our beer is crap and their beer is good, and I'm sure it is. So I would at least want to know my beers and all the different types. And okay, so I'm gonna hit the space bar, unpause, and I'm gonna make a slight turn.
You'll first need to intercept the course line between waypoints 1 and 2. Note that the ADI steering bars in the HUD navigation circle provide us the same information. Fly the aircraft to center the ADI steering bars by adjusting the pitch and roll to keep the bars centered on the ADI. Or you can fly to keep the navigation circle on the HUD in the very center of the pitch and bank indicator. The choice is yours.
Right.
Also remember that the assigned airspeed and altitude for the waypoint are indicated as smaller digits above your current airspeed and altitude. Fly to waypoint 2.
See, there, that circle, if we were to go towards the circle, I don't think that we would be on it. But you can, I guess, however, if you follow in the HUD and just use following the circle, you can get to it as well. Right? And it says we're supposed to come down 1,900 feet. It does want us to come back over here a little bit. Oh, the yellow needle. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, lost it. Whoa, you're swinging right out. Why is the course line moving? That shouldn't, I would think that that shouldn't move. Okay, well, part of my problem there then, I guess. They make it so damn confusing. The course line shouldn't change. All right, so let's use the HUD technique, where we want to keep the circle in the HUD. Centered. There's 1,920. Lost a little too much altitude there. Tricky. Now, I think we've already overflown it. I think we've screwed up this mission. Because we're not getting our next thing and the indicator is going up now. So because we didn't hit it, it didn't go into auto mode as I understand. Alright, so I will do this one again. I said I wasn't going to do these again if I failed on the training, but this one, kind of one we should probably get right. And we can you can also use the autopilot again. So we can try that too. So put it in restart. Pain in the butt, man. Yeah, I don't get that. The course line shouldn't change. I don't understand that, why it's moving. I guess it's trying to get us back onto the proper, I don't know.
In this lesson, we're going to learn how to navigate to an airfield and land on it. There are 3 navigation modes that we'll be using: en route, return to base, and landing. These submodes are selected automatically at the appropriate points along the assigned flight path, but they can also be cycled manually. In this lesson, we'll use the automatic method. I currently have the lesson paused as I explain some of the finer points. Press the spacebar to continue. What we'll learn in this lesson is how to navigate to a waypoint using en route mode, switch to return mode automatically, and then switch to landing mode automatically. We're currently in en route mode as indicated in the bottom left corner of the HUD. This mode allows us to fly from waypoint to waypoint in sequence automatically, as we did in the prior navigation lesson. However, in this lesson, we'll try manual selection. Our current waypoint is 0, our starting point, as indicated in the bottom right corner of the HUD with a range of 0. Press left control and tilde to manually select waypoint 1. Good, you will now see that waypoint 1 is selected with a range of 8.6 kilometers. Press left control and tilde again to select waypoint 2. You can see that waypoint 2 is 15.5 kilometers from us. As we learned in the prior lesson, we can see the direct heading to the waypoint is indicated by the yellow arrow on the HSI, and the twin white arrows indicate our path to fly the course line. Directly above the HSI is the Attitude Director Indicator, or ADI. This is a sphere with one hemisphere white and one hemisphere black. In the center of the ADI is a white aircraft symbol. This aircraft symbol stays stationary in pitch, but will rotate as you maneuver and roll. The ADI ball will move in pitch in relation to the aircraft symbol. When the aircraft symbol center is over black, your nose is below the horizon. If the aircraft symbol center is over white, your nose is pointing above the horizon. Press the spacebar to continue.
All right, you see my problem here? He's telling us one thing, but then the instruments tell us a different thing. He's telling us to the yellow arrow on the HSI. And this is what confuses me, and I wish somebody could come in and explain it to me. But he tells us the yellow... Come on, head. See if I can get this thing to stop moving. I have to... I've got to create a toggle. Let's do that now. I've got to create a toggle that toggles the head tracker off. 0 while held. 0 start tracking, stop tracking, toggle tracking. 0 while held, toggle while held. I don't know what everything else is set to. One moment. Zero while held. Try that. Alt T. No, that just zeroes it there. All right. Well, anyway, the direct to, you're saying the yellow arrow is direct to the course, right? And the double white arrowheads also show the course direction. In the HUD, it's lower left. And when we deviated and I tried to make my turn earlier to match what the HSI wants, we went south and went wonky. So honestly, folks, right there, I don't know, because to me, I don't get it. That's totally conflicting. One of them is saying, go to 69 or go towards 60. But the top ADI is saying we're centered. And then that's saying we've got to go to the left. That's screwy to me, and I don't get it.
In the center of the ADI are two yellow lines that help assist you reach the waypoint via the course line. The course line is a direct line between two waypoints. The vertical line indicates your required azimuth steering to reach and maintain the course line. When the yellow vertical line is centered on the ADI, you are flying on or to the course line. If the vertical line is off to either side, put your stick in that direction until the vertical line centers on the ADI and adjust your roll to keep it centered. The yellow horizontal line indicates your elevation course steering. When centered on the ADI, you are flying at or to the set course altitude for that waypoint. If the yellow line is on the lower half of the ADI, push the stick forward until the yellow horizontal line centers on the ADI and adjust pitch to keep it centered. Conversely, if the yellow horizontal line is above the center line of the ADI, pull back on the stick until the line centers. Along the top and left side of the ADI are your heading and elevation deviation scales. The more the lines are from center, the greater you are off the direct path to reach the waypoint. Let's practice this as we fly to waypoint 2. I will unpause the lesson when you press the spacebar.
I'm going to go into Alt-6 and do a route follow.
You will first need to intercept the course line between waypoints 1 and 2. Note that the ADI steering bars and the HUD navigation circle provide us the same information. Fly the aircraft to center the ADI steering bars by adjusting the pitch and roll to keep the bars centered on the ADI. Or you can fly to keep the navigation circle on the HUD in the very center of the pitch and bank indicator. The choice is yours. Also remember that the assigned airspeed and altitude for the waypoint are indicated as smaller digits above your current airspeed and altitude. Fly to waypoint 2.
Okay, doing an Alt-6. I'm going to let the autopilot handle it. See, it's diving and it's going to the left, but look at the needles. Look at the needles on the HSI. They're spinning further and further and further. So I guess maybe if we're centered and our two yellow needles were centered, then we ignore. I don't get it that we ignore it. But as we center on in the HUD, and now we're going straight, I don't see how. Now we're turning to the right, to starboard. And now the other needles are starting to line up. Makes no sense to me. Makes sense to the computer. That's fine. So I'll just leave it Alt-6. Left Alt-6 for route follow. Supposed to be at 450 knots, so pull back on the throttle a little bit.
Nice job. As you may have noticed, the waypoint automatically cycled to waypoint 3. Go ahead and fly to waypoint 3 along the course line and maintain a speed of around 400 kilometers per hour.
Okay, we're still in route follow mode. All I'm doing is adjusting the throttle. Try to slow us down a little bit. I'm gonna use my speed brake.
Now that you've reached the last en route waypoint, notice the return mode has automatically been selected as indicated as RTN in the lower left corner of the HUD. Your navigation steering will now provide you steering to intercept the instrumented landing system beams at the proper heading and altitude. The airfield return number, in this case MOSDOC, is displayed in the lower right corner of the HUD as number 17. Fly the assigned return navigation.
There's 400.
We've now entered the ILS beams and have automatically switched to the landing mode as indicated by the LNDG indication in the bottom left corner of the HUD. The ILS contains a glide slope beam to help guide you vertically, and the localizer beam helps you to guide horizontally. Below the landing indication is a K indication that lets you know that you have captured the ILS beams. The upside down L in the lower left side of the HUD indicates that you are on glide slope. If you have not already done so, reduce your airspeed to less than 400 kilometers per hour and lower your landing gear by pressing G. If you need to, deploy your air brakes by pressing B. Lower your landing flaps by pressing left shift and F. Press the spacebar to continue.
So he's throwing a lot at you. You've got to, that's a lot. All right. Not in this case, what he's talking about is there are beams, imagine these laser beams that you can't see that are shooting out from the runway. Okay? The plane is Bluetoothing onto the lasers, and it's using laser guidance to bring us down to the runway. Now, in the next episode, or the night landing one, not all runways have ILS. And that's the mistake that I kept making in the next one. I couldn't get and find the dang runway. And I was expecting it to do just this, going to landing mode and take us to it. But I don't believe it has and I think he says it does not have an ILS. All right, which makes things much trickier. But in this case, we're on the glide slope, which means we're at the right height. We're at the right height to just do a small 3-degree descent down to the runway. Now what we've got to do is make sure we manage our power, get our gear down, and get our flaps down. Let me keep my throttle in the lower position. Let me unpause.
Are a large and small
Shift
circle.
F for flaps, G for gear.
As in other modes, fly the aircraft to center of the circle inside the pitch and roll indicator in the center of the HUD. The smaller circle is your glide slope error circle. Like the director circle, you want to center this in the pitch and roll indicator. If the director circle is above the roll and pitch indicator, you are too high, and conversely, if it is below the roll and pitch indicator. If the director circle is left of the center and pitch and roll indicator, it means you are left of the localizer beam, and conversely, if it is right of the roll and pitch indicator. Once on glide slope, use pitch to control your airspeed and throttle to control your altitude.
Now in this case, I'm letting the autopilot do it. I'm getting a little slow. Some throttle back in. That's parachute speed, so very slow. So the plane keeps pitching up, try to lose speed. And if you have the right amount of speed, this should now try to take us to the runway. Come on. It was supposed to be at 290. 280, it says. Now it says 360. What? Uh-oh. Come on, you. Get us down to the runway. That's the outer marker beacon.
And your airspeed should be between 290 and 310 kilometers per hour and on glide slope.
So now we're too fast. And now it's not bringing us down. Why? Maybe we deviated too far. But it doesn't seem like it's doing its
inner marker beacon
job anymore.
Airspeed should be between 250 and 270.
It's not. It broke. The autopilot, for whatever reason, it says we're still in auto landing mode, but we're overshooting.
Past the runway threshold. When the radar altimeter indicates 5 meters, reduce the throttle to idle and flare the nose, such that the sink rate, as indicated on the right side of the HUD, is between 1 and 2 meters per second. Once all the wheels are on the ground and your speed is below 250 kilometers per hour, release the brake and chute by pressing P. Hold down the W key to apply the wheel brakes until the aircraft comes to a complete stop.
Yeah, and I let the autopilot do that. That was really uncontrolled. Not very nice.
Looks like you got her down in one piece.
Whatever.
Learn the lesson now by pressing the escape key.
Anyway, careful with your landings. All right, so let's go back out. All right, we've been flying for an hour here. Let's take a small little break. I hope we can get through all of these today, but definitely need a little break here. If you're just tuning in, tomorrow for the ornithopter flight for the Microsoft Flight Simulator Community Fly-In, everybody's going to be doing ornithopters. And I'll be starting my live stream tomorrow at noon instead of 1. So if you'd like to join in, it'll be broadcast on Twitch. All the information for the flight and the flight plan itself you can download at the Microsoft Flight Simulator forum. Today's song of the day is Brad Sucks, Fixing My Brain. And I'm going to play that now here and stretch, grab a drink, get a smoke, whatever. And I'll see you in a minute or two. Start over. This is from the album I Don't Know What I'm Doing.
And dollar bills, it's the price you pay for feeling okay. You're the strangest girl I've ever met, sending weird signals to my
I'm thinking about fixing my brain,
but I'm afraid I won't feel the same.
'cause baby, it's all I do.
I've been thinking about fixing my brain,
But I'm afraid I won't feel the same. Baby, it's all I do.
spending more and more time up in bed, thinking about the things I think you said. It's been on my mind, and it's hard to find
The beach has
Welcome back. After being bitten by a radioactive bird, somewhat mannered T. Tuthill was possessed to become Skydude. This is episode number 131, in which we find the Skydude practicing to become a fighter pilot. Right now they have us in Russian stuff, which I'm not too happy about. But, you know your enemies, right? Know what they're capable of, so okay. Now this next lesson has been terribly difficult because I wanted to learn how to do it manually. I wanted to follow the HSI and follow everything and be able to do it manually. And at the end, you kind of have no choice because this is not a, I don't think it has an ILS at the runway. But anyway, I'm going to use autopilot, the autopilot functions to go between waypoint and waypoint and see if it'll, until the very end. And then we've got to turn to make our landing. So I really recommend, unless you really, really want to nail it, manual navigation, that you should use the autopilot for this one. Very frustrating. When I have more time to mess around and just concentrate on practicing navigation, get on a bigger map, and I have a longer time between waypoints, it's a little too, some of these waypoints are a little too short. This first one isn't so bad. It's like a 50-mile stretch, but, and it's totally dark.
Navigation and landing under ideal
conditions. Gonna do Alt-6.
In this lesson, we're going to put what you learned to the test by finding an airfield and landing on it at night during a thunderstorm. Sounds fun, huh? Let's turn on the cockpit lighting by pressing L. We're currently in route mode, but we have no airfield at the final route destination. So let's select return mode by pressing 1. As I mentioned in the last lesson, the airfield identification number is displayed in the lower right corner of the HUD. 21 is the ID code for Beslan Airfield, the smallest runway I could find in the game just for you.
Crap, my throttle was all the way off.
To a different airfield, you can press left control and tilde until you select the airfield you want. A complete list of airfield ID numbers is located in the back of the SU-25T flight manual. For now, let's keep it on 21. Press the spacebar to continue.
My throttle was all the way off. Poor autopilot's like, I can't control the plane. And now we're up to about almost 400. To have maximum control again here.
Using what you learned about course steering through the HUD and ADI, fly the assigned return course that will lead you to the ILS intercept for Beslan Airfield. As you start to descend, you'll probably pick.
What the hell happened there?
Don't forget.
What's happening? Why are we flipping over? What happened there? Oh my gosh, I have no idea what just happened there. But the plane just decided, I don't like what we're doing, and flipped out. Silly thing.
In the past 2 lessons, we learned the basics of navigation and landing under ideal conditions. In this lesson, we're going to put what you learned to the test by finding an airfield and landing on it at night during a thunderstorm. Sounds fun, huh? Let's turn on the cockpit lighting by pressing L. We're currently in route mode, but we have no airfield at the final route destination. So let's select return mode by pressing 1.
Now they want us up to 620 knots.
Last lesson, the airfield identification number is displayed in the lower right corner of the HUD. 21.
Why is it doing what it's doing? It's flipping out.
Runway I could find in the game just for you. If you want to get return steering to a different airfield, you can press left control and tilde until you select the airfield you want. A complete list of airfield ID numbers is located in the back of the SU-25T flight manual. For now, let's keep it on 21. Press the spacebar to continue.
I don't know what's going on with the plane. Why it's not holding its autopilot course. It's doing the Stevie Wonder.
Using what you learned about course steering through the HUD and ADI, fly the assigned return course that will lead you to the ILS intercept for Beslan Airfield.
It does say it has an ILS intercept.
Pick up a lot of speed. Don't forget that you can deploy the air brakes by pressing B.
Okay, so everything I said might be out the window. But I haven't been able to get it, once it hits landing mode, to do its ILS. Well, it finally stabilized. With more advanced planes, you should be able to have speed controls to where you can dial it in. Be way more precise. It's rather difficult on this particular model of plane, the SU-25T. Okay, next route, 31. We're supposed to be going a lot slower than that. What does it want us at? It wants us at 640. We're doing 730. Got the maneuvering flaps and the speed brake. Try to slow us down. Once it levels out, start bleeding off some speed. Okay, now it wants 700. Okay, turn off that. Turn off the maneuvering brakes. Check it. Now it wants more speed. So
To get closer to the airfield, I should also mention that not all airfields have Russian ILS, as we had in the last lesson.
right, Russian ILS.
That do include Mozdok, Krimsk, Maikop, and Krasnodar Center. Being that Beslan does not have this, you will not have the HUD ILS indications. However, if you look down at your HSI, you'll notice a dashed cross in the center and both solid vertical and horizontal lines. The dashed lines are fixed and represent the optimal glide slope and localizer positions for the solid lines. Press the spacebar to continue. If the glide slope bar is below the dashed line, you are above glide slope. If it is above the dashed line, you are under glide slope. If the localizer line is left of center, you need to fly to the left. If the localizer is to the right of center, you need to fly to the right. You always fly to the needle.
Okay, we're in return mode now. 8.3, 8.2. Now it says we need to be doing 350. Yep. Okay, so it is going into landing mode. It did it right that time. Okay, but now we need to slow way down, gear down, full flaps. But it's going to, at some point, turn off. It's not going to take us to it. It's just going to turn us to it. And I don't see it. But at some point, we're supposed to break off from this. Yeah, and I don't see the runway. So this is where I get confused. I'm like, what the hell is it doing? Because now we're moving at 15.7, 15.5. It should have lined us up. Should be trying to line us up, but usually it just does a cycle. It's doing a cycle. Oh wow, there it goes. Now it's straightening out. Still don't see it. The runway over there. Okay. All right, I'm gonna turn off the autopilot. Fly the HUD. Dang, we're going fast. Okay, so we're on the localizer, but we don't have an ILS. We don't have that inverted L. We have to pull up.
As you pass over the inner marker beacon, you may have noticed a little bit of crosswind from south to north.
I am noticing the crosswind.
Input a little left rudder by pressing Z and add a little right bank to keep your nose tracking down the runway.
Very difficult. Okay, 230, we can deploy the parachute. And our brakes.
Looks like you got her down in one piece. You can end the lesson now by pressing escape.
Okay. This one's tough. I end up usually blowing myself up with my own bombs. Thursday, February 29th, 2024, episode 131 of The Adventures of Skydude. Learning how to be a fighter pilot. Tricky, 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 my friends. Very challenging.
In this lesson, we're going to learn how to deliver unguided bombs in the Continuously Computed Impact Point mode, or CCIP.
CCIP.
Bombs of the SU-25T include the Fab 100, Fab 250, Fab 500, RBK cluster bombs, and BADAB penetration bombs. In this case, I have 2 racks of Fab 100s and a couple of larger Fab 500s. Each of the Fab bombs has a high explosive warhead, and the number in the name indicates the bomb's weight in kilograms. I currently have the lesson in active pause. The first thing I need you to do is select air to ground mode by pressing 7. Do this now. Note that the HUD has changed to remove most of the navigation information and replaced it with bombing symbology. We'll talk more about this soon. You can switch your weapons by pressing D. Try this now.
Okay, what he's talking about is down here. Okay, let's take a look outside. What we got here. Okay, we've got all those Fab 100s on the outside and the Fab 500s on the inside. So 16 Fab 1s and 2 Fab 5s. Okay. When we hit D, right now we see that the Fab 100s on both wings are active. They got the little green light in them. I wonder how people change their lights. I've seen ones with amber lights, and they're a lot easier to see than the green lights on the bottom row. But anyway, let me hit D and you'll see it switch over to the 5s.
When you cycle a weapon, take a look at the weapon status panel in the bottom center of the front dash. It's the black panel with the shape of a wing along the top. There are 2 rows of lights below it. The top row of yellow lights indicates the weapon stations that have weapons attached to them. And the lower row of green lights indicates weapon stations that are loaded with the currently selected weapon type. In the top right corner of the panel, a B symbol is displayed. This indicates that the selected weapon type is a bomb. You can also see the symbol in the lower right corner of the HUD. By pressing left control and spacebar, you can set the ripple quantity, meaning how many bombs are released when you press and hold the weapon release button or trigger. Try this now.
Okay, he's talking about these 2 knobs over here, and keep your eye on the one on the right. My head tracker would be more stable. You need to do Alt. What does he say? Space bar, left control, and space bar. Get my head back down here. Come on. I need to fine tune this a little bit better.
As you cycle ripple quantity, take a look at the weapon control panel in the lower left portion of the front dash. On the panel are 2 knobs. The right knob has positions for X1, X2, X4, and BCE. The position of the knob determines how many bombs will be released, as singles, in pairs, 4 at a time, or all at once. You can set the release interval by pressing V. This determines the time between each bomb release. Longer intervals result in greater spacing between bomb impacts. You can view the setting by looking at the position of the left knob on the weapon control panel. The knob has positions for 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and 0.4 seconds. The last position indicates salvo mode, in which all weapons are released simultaneously. Give this a try. Press V to cycle the release interval. Those are the basics of configuring your settings for bomb release. Now let's learn how to put those bombs on target in CCIP mode. Using what you learned in the navigation lessons, fly through all the gates ahead. Press the space bar to unpause the lesson. If you are not already, press 7 to enter air-to-ground mode.
Now, normally, you think you'd be flying with the upper crosshairs,
On the HUD, you can see a pipper
and it's actually like the two dots at the bottom
reticle
on each side.
to aim your bombs. When you're within valid bomb release parameters, indicated by the launch authorization queue on the HUD, the bombs will impact where the bombing reticle pipper is at time of weapon release.
So you see those dashed marks on the HUD up there? That's where our nose is. Normally I'm using that. That's wrong. You need to use these. Speed's all the way down again. You need to use those two dashed ones and center those in the gates.
Along the left side of the HUD is the range scale bar and caret that indicates the bomb fall range.
The arrow on the left side, they call it a caret. An arrow.
In the bottom left corner of the HUD, IP ground is indicated, meaning visual bombing mode is selected. The B in the bottom right corner of the HUD indicates you have bomb selected. Ahead and below your nose is a set of trucks marked with red smoke. This will be your aim point. When you fly to the next gate, quickly begin a dive onto the target.
This can be very, very confusing. And only once you've started your dive does he say, oh, yeah, remember not to dive too fast, and you might want to use your speed brakes. He should have told you that before you. He should say, begin your dive, hit your speed brakes.
Dive now to an angle of 50 to 60 degrees.
And it's hard. Sometimes it's very difficult getting your nose down. You might have to use pitch, your
marked with the red
trim.
When a line is drawn from the top of the bombing red,
Now I've got my speed brakes in, putting on my maneuvering flaps.
release your bombs by pressing the space bar. Control your airspeed by reducing throttle and pressing B to deploy your air brakes.
Yeah, see, I blew myself up. I mean, he doesn't tell you to slow down too soon.
Nice job, you hit the target. I've added some additional targets marked with green smoke to practice on. You can continue to practice, or you can end the lesson now by pressing the escape key.
That's ridiculous. He doesn't tell you once you hit your bomb, drop your bombs, pull up immediately. You got to watch your speed. You can't be going too fast. Can't be going faster than the bombs. We're just going to move on from that one. We are running out of time. Now, those were unguided. These are unguided, but it's different in that you're locking on. Pain in the butt, right? Ba-bum, ba-ba-ba.
In the previous lesson, we learned how to put bombs on target using CCIP mode. In this lesson, we'll learn how to do it using a continuously computed release point mode, or CCRP. Whereas CCIP mode required us to place the bombing reticle on the target at time of weapon release, CCRP mode will allow us to drop a bomb on target even when the target is no longer in view. As before, fly through all the gates ahead. Go ahead and enter air-to-ground mode by pressing 7. When in CCRP mode, the bomb release setting options are the same as we reviewed in CCIP mode, This includes both quantity and interval settings. Continue flying through the gates to reach the target. Directly ahead by the lake shore is the target, marked with red smoke. Fly to place the pipper in the center of the bombing reticle over the target and press and hold the weapon release trigger or spacebar. When designating for release of multiple bombs at once, it's best to aim slightly ahead of the target such that the stick of bombs straddle the target.
Unless you're stable, kind of hard to do.
As you hold down the weapon release trigger over the target, you'll notice a green diamond over the target. This marks it as a designation point for a CCRP release.
Okay, still have to fly through the gate, but we've got it marked. Holding down the space bar.
As you approach the target, keep flying through the gates, but keep the pipper aligned with the vertical line at the top of the pitch and bank angle indicator in the center of the HUD. Continue holding down their weapon release trigger. Approaching the release point, the time to release indication on the left side of the HUD descends, and the release tone is heard shortly before the bombs are released.
See the carrot coming down, arrow. The bombs went way early. So, the disadvantage of locking on too soon, too far away, even though they tell you to. Even when I was zoomed in and I thought I had a good lock, it was not a good lock. One moment. Danielle? 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 I'm coming. Sorry, there was somebody walking around behind my house in the alley. I had to quickly go find out what the hell was going on. Okay, so we failed that one. And let that be a lesson that when you lock on too far away, even when zoomed in, you gotta be really careful on your lock on. Okay, the KMGU. Do.
In addition to the unguided bombs we used in the previous lessons, we also have the KMGU submunitions dispenser. In this case, we have 4 dispensers loaded with 12 AO 2.5 RT fragmentation bombs apiece. Dispensers are a useful weapon when needed to lay down an elongated path of destruction, great for convoys and runways. I currently have the lesson in active pause mode. Press the spacebar to continue.
So they look like crayons, but they don't have the orange tip. Visually identifying all these and understanding what they are is also a big part of this kind of training. So do whatever you got to do, make little drawings, make notes, do the best you can.
On the weapon control panel, using the interval switch, you can press V until SSC MJM series is selected. This is a special release mode for the KMGU submunition dispensers in multiple ejection racks, MUR. When enabled, the KMGU submunitions are dispensed at 2-second intervals, and MUR munitions are released at 0.3 seconds apart, according to the total quantity specified by the salvo size switch. This allows a larger but less dense submunition coverage. Press the spacebar to unpause the lesson and follow the gates.
Okay, we've got to put the V, we got to press V. Now with this particular type of weapon, you've got to be in that SEPMA, the very last area, the very last setting. V, 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 V. There's SEPMA, whatever it is. Either way, understanding that these submunitions require you to be there is also something you need to take notes on. And then, did he say how we can adjust how many as well? Press the V. This is a special da-da-da-da-da-da. When enabled, KMG submunitions are dispensed at 2-second intervals, and MUR munitions are released at 0.3 seconds apart, according to the total quantity specified by the salvo size switch. Allows larger but less dense submunition coverage. So he didn't tell us to press anything, so we'll just leave it there.
As we ingress to the target, press 7 to activate air-to-ground mode. Keep following the gates, but try to keep your speed between 700 and 750 kilometers per hour.
Okay, we're way slow.
When you entered air-to-ground mode, you probably noticed the bombing reticle on the HUD. As before, we need to line up the reticle with the target. As long as we keep our speed fast, we can get a good valid bombing solution even from low altitude. I'll let you decide to deliver the weapon either in CCIP or CCRP mode.
720 knots.
On the road between the next two gates is a truck convoy marked with red smoke. This is your target. Line up with the target and place the bombing pipper slightly before it because there will be a slight release delay as the canister doors open. You may need to start a shallow dive to get a valid bombing release solution if you're using CCIP. Nice work, you hit the target. You can end the lesson now by pressing the escape key, or you can locate and destroy another convoy marked with green smoke further down the road.
Pull up. Pull up. Pull up.
I guess we aren't continuing. That did lay down a... wish you would do a... I wish you could have it switched to target so you can see. I'm sure that there is. I just don't know the keys, but either way, it does lay down a path and it took out the convoy.
Now that we're getting the hang of unguided bomb delivery, we're going to move on to using unguided rockets. We have many rocket types loaded for this lesson, but they're all delivered in the same manner. Basically point and shoot when within range. We'll keep this lesson in active pause mode as we discuss unguided rockets. Press the spacebar to continue.
I set the graphics to low the other day, and now I've been noticing on this episode that everything just looks like crap. So one moment. Well, when I do that, it makes DCS World. It makes it start up again. We might as well do a little smoke break again here, and let me play the song of the day. Brad Sucks, Fixing My Brain. We'll be back in just a moment. Oh, it's in starting soon? Of course it is.
Rubber rooms and taking funny pills, filling up on notes and dollar bills. It's the price you pay for feeling okay. You're the strangest girl I've ever met, sending weird signals to I think you said. It's been on my mind, and it's hard to find. Bad habits come and go. I'm afraid my mind is getting slow. I've been thinking about fixing my brain, but I'm afraid I won't feel the same. 'Cause baby, it's all I do. I've been thinking about fixing my brain, but I'm afraid I won't feel the same. 'Cause baby, it's all I do. I swear it's not so hard to understand. I just wanna get in the sun again. The sun again. The sun again. The sun again. I swear it's not so hard to understand. I just wanna get in the sun again. The sun again. The sun again. The sun again.
Okay. DCS world is back up and running. Hopefully it looks a little bit prettier. Back to our training. And unguided rockets. I can't wait to get a better computer, my friends. One where I don't have to worry about graphics anymore. Just crank it all up to ultras. You know how it is, though, man. As soon as you get the good stuff, here comes something else, requires even more. But I gotta tell you how sad I am not being able to run everything as clean as possible. Which is why I could really use your help, please. Please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. Every penny counts.
Now that we're getting the hang of unguided bomb delivery, we're going to move on to using unguided rockets. We have many rocket types loaded for this lesson, but they're all delivered in the same manner. Basically point and shoot when within.
I have had a graphic card crash and an OBS crash at the same time. I'm waiting to see if we're connected just fine. It looks like we're back. It looks like we're back. All right. I don't know what to do about the graphics card crash at the moment.
Take a look at the weapon status panel on the bottom center of the front dash. You'll see that except for the most outer and inner stations, all stations are loaded with rockets, indicated by the yellow lights. In the top right corner of the panel is a dashed field that indicates the selected weapon type. Currently, no weapon type is selected. Let's select rockets now by entering air-to-ground mode. Press 7. Great. Now we're in air-to-ground mode, and you can see HPC, which indicates rockets, shown in the current weapon field. You can also see green lights on the active weapon station indication, In this case, the second most outboard station on the right wing. In the lower right portion of the HUD, you are provided the name of the selected rocket type. You can see S5, which indicates the S5 rocket, which is housed in the UB-32A rocket pod. This is a rather small rocket with a high explosive warhead. Press D to select the next rocket type.
Okay, so that's the most outermost one on the right wing. They make it. There's no way to hide the. Like with Microsoft Flight Simulator, there's no way to hide the yoke, the joystick, and so trying to use my lane to see if it was lighting up green on both sides, but it doesn't look like it. So just the one on the outermost right wing. Okay, so that thing. But then he's going to have us press D again.
The next rocket type is the S8KOM. This rocket uses the B8M1 rocket pod with 20 rockets per pod. The rocket is 82 millimeters in diameter, has a range of about 2 kilometers, and has a shaped charged warhead which is good against armor. Press D to select the next rocket type.
Okay, so that is the not the outermost one, but the second one on the left wing. Which looks like the one next to it. Almost identical. How the hell do you tell these apart? Right? The one is a little bit shorter than the other one. And it looks like it's got pods on it, but they're calling that one a rocket.
This is the S13OF, which is held forward to a B13L rocket pod.
Yeah, it is a pod.
Larger than the S5 and S8, having a diameter of 122 millimeters. It has a blast fragmentation warhead and has a range of about 2 kilometers. High explosive and blast fragmentation warheads are best used against unarmored and lightly armored targets. However, a direct hit on an armored vehicle may destroy it, depending on the size of the warhead. Press D to select the next rocket type.
Okay, so that's the second one on the right wing. Okay, the one with 5 tubes. The one next to it is the crayon.
The S-24B is your largest rocket with a diameter of 600 millimeters and a massive 235 kilogram blast fragmentation warhead. Given its size, the S-24B is not housed in a pod, but rather directly attached to the weapon station. Press D to select the next rocket type.
Okay, that's the third one in 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's that single rocket.
The other large rocket at your disposal is the S-25OF
Crayon.
with a diameter of 340 millimeters and a 190 kilogram warhead. This rocket has the longest range and can reach out to 3 kilometers. Each rocket is housed in a single launch tube. Press D to select the next rocket type. The final rocket is the S8OFP2. Like the KOM version, it's an 82 millimeter rocket with 20 rockets per pod. However, this one has a blast fragmentation warhead. Press D to return to the S5.
Yeah, and I don't know how the heck you'd tell these apart. Okay, in the upper corner, but again, you got to keep track of. You got to know what the hell they are. S8OFP2 on the HUD. Press D to return to the S5 rocket.
Press the spacebar to unpause the lesson.
The S5 is the outermost one on the right wing again.
As we're en route to the target, we can practice your low-level ingress skills. Nearing the target will initiate a pop-up attack. In the middle portion of your HUD is your rocket aiming reticle. Much like the bombing reticle, this indicates where the rockets will land if you launch them at that instant. However, the range must be within minimum and maximum range value of the selected rocket type. Along the left side of the HUD is the rocket launch zone indication. The top bar indicates the maximum range of the rocket, and the bottom bar indicates the minimum safe range. The caret moves vertically along the left side of the HUD to indicate your current range based on where the rocket aiming reticle is placed. When the caret is between the maximum and minimum range bars, the range is valid. When your selected rocket type is within range, a launch authorization cue will appear on the HUD. At the next gate, we'll start our climb. Make sure your speed is above 700 kilometers per hour.
Why don't they tell you that beforehand?
As you pass through the top gate, roll the aircraft inverted and pull the nose down to the target. The target's marked with red smoke. When aligned with the target, roll the wings level while keeping the aiming reticle over the target. Press
Right.
when you see the LA cue on the HUD.
And why they would want you to do this maneuver, I don't fully understand. So we're supposed to come through this damn gate and roll inverted. Keep the wings level. Pull back until you can find your damn target. And there's the target over there. And we're coming in too fast now.
Pull up.
Yeah, right.
Pull up.
Nice hit on
Pull up.
target. You can end the lesson
Pull
now
up.
by pressing escape key, or you can practice using other rocket types on the targets I just marked with green smoke.
You know, again, it's like the other one. When he tells you, go up there, spin inverted, and come down. But he doesn't tell you at that point, you know, you're going 700 kilometers per hour up. And if you've managed to speed up all the way to catch up to that speed in the climb, now by the time you've gone inverted, now you're going probably 700 still. And then you're picking up speed as you go into the dive. And then you can't pull up. Or in that case, I was pulling up and I cleared it, but then I hit the wires. He doesn't tell you, you know, slow down after you do your turn, after you flip inverted, possibly kick in your speed brakes and or flaps to slow yourself down and allow yourself to line up on your target. It's just, hey, balls to the wall, go inverted, dive, drop your rocket and pull out. Okay, now for some people that might be just fine. Not for me, and I don't appreciate it at all. I don't like being set up for failure. Right, so they spend so much dang time talking about the different rockets, blah, 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 blah. And then he talks to you a little bit about going through your gates and doing low-level ingresses. But, you know, it'd be better if they just told you everything up front. Hey, at the end, we're going to be going into a dive. You're going to want to flip inverted. Watch your speed. You know, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I hate training levels that set you up for failure. Microsoft's really bad about that. They don't give you enough. for it being one of the world's greatest simulators I've ever seen, you know, and for what it can do, it's amazing. But at the same time, they really cheesed out on all the training, and they don't give you enough information, and they don't use the technology that is available to them as developers to give you enough graphic overlays and displays to really teach you how to do anything. And you'll find that you have to go out to YouTube and watch lots of videos to learn anything. And it's a real shame. It's one of the biggest barriers, I think, getting people into Microsoft Flight Simulator when they get to it, because the training it should have been everything. Everything should have revolved around the training, and they just cheesed out. And then the visual flight rules map is just the biggest disappointment. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen. And I hate trash talking Microsoft Flight Simulator. I love it so much. But if I was a Sobo, I would be so upset at the crap they produced with the in-flight visual flight map and the training missions. I would be so upset.
In this lesson, we're going to learn how to use the internal 30mm cannon. We will start the lesson in active pause mode. Under the forward fuselage of the SU-25T is a twin-barrel Gish 20 30mm cannon with a 200-round magazine. The 30mm cannon round is armor-piercing, high-explosive that is best against light armor and unarmored targets. The rounds include a tracer that you can use to better judge where the rounds are impacting. The firing rate is 3,000 rounds per minute with a muzzle velocity of 870 meters per second. You can turn on the cockpit lighting by pressing L. Press the spacebar to continue.
Now, I don't like this mission either. It's a gun mission, but they don't give you guns until you fly this silly course. And then he tells you, once we arrive at the things that we're supposed to kill, he goes, fly through the gates to be lined up on your targets. Flying through the gates does not line you up on your targets. By the time he tells you to fly through the last gate and line up on your targets, you are flying over your targets, which are facing the completely other direction. This training mission right here is... I don't know if I can say a word that won't get me in trouble. And you'll see what I mean. Let's do this. And again, I would have set this up so you could get to use your cannon almost through every bit of this course. But no, let's fly a silly course first. And then give you some targets which we don't line you up on.
Go ahead and enable air-to-ground mode by pressing 7.
What's going on? Why won't it unpause?
To select a cannon as the active weapon, press C.
So we turn on our cannon here, but we don't get to use it until the very end.
Take a look at the weapon status panel. In the bottom right corner is the indication for cannon rounds remaining. A K indicates a full magazine, and there are indications for half and 1/4. In the top right corner of the panel is the weapon type indicator that shows the cannon is selected. Press the spacebar to unpause the lesson and fly through all the gates ahead.
And there's the K. I hate Russian.
Given that it's pretty dark out, you want to keep a close eye on your instruments and your radar altimeter on the HUD. We'll be flying pretty low, so make sure you don't get below the route altitudes. As before, fly through all the gates ahead, and we'll talk more about the gun as we get closer to the target.
Okay, and then there's going to be a tricky turn. They throw this tricky turn at you up here, and if you're going too fast, you're not going to make it. So then you have to start the dang thing over. If you miss any gates, you have to start the thing over. I hate missions like that too.
Go ahead.
And again, you have to fly through all the gates or it won't complete the mission or allow you to fire your weapons. And so you've got to fly the gates, which is going to put you in a bad situation. Okay, here's that turn. And if you're going too fast here, you might not be able to make it. And then you've got to do a tight turn here.
Watch your altitude at the next gate. It's a low one.
Same here. Going too fast, trying to catch this next gate. Getting some lag. Very hard to catch this one. I think it may have was lagging around on me there. So I don't know if it's going to count that one. Again, I might have to start over. Which I'm not going to if I missed it. Yeah, I think it'll tell me I missed a gate. Let's see. Now he's not talking. Normally he has something to say after you get through a gate or two. So we failed already. Let me show you the course though. Show you what I'm talking about. Of course it would lag out right there. All right, then you got to make this silly dive. Going too fast. Hard to make this one too.
Pull up.
And yeah, so wow, you know, can't make it. Okay, we're coming down again. You can see all the opponents. Don't be distracted by the flares. The targets in blue are our targets, and he's going to tell you after you fly this, fly the gates and be lined up on your opponents. Okay, so you're coming down here. We're supposed to be lined up on our targets. But now, as we fly through this last gate, we're not lined up on our targets, and our targets are underneath us now. There, and there, and over there. How is this being lined up in any way? So now, trying to maneuver through this crappy valley, these valleys that they've got you on, makes it really hard to turn in this tight space and try to get these guys shot. The flares, ignore them. I mean, all these flares, just dumb. 15 years. This game has been out 15 years. Like 15 years of DCS World excellence, blah, blah, blah. In 15 years, they've not managed to fix this. And things like that just chap my hide. Right? There's no way for you to pull any sort of high energy maneuver at this point to get onto these targets in any way. They don't tell you how to use your gun sight and your air to ground. They don't teach you, well, whatever. It's ridiculous. Okay, so let's say we try to do a tight maneuver here. You've got all these hills and valleys in your way. And if you pop over this one, you're still going to have to make some crazy turns. Try to get lined up on anything. And we're lagging out again. And now I don't know if I can pull out.
Pull up.
Yep.
Pull up.
So they set you up for failure. It's a total setup for failure. Getting back to your targets, you're going to have to circle around in these little valleys, and it's really hard to kill those darn guys there. No fun. No fun. And I would take a bat to the person who created that mission. Gun pods, where are we at? We're already at 322, so I did not make it today. I failed in my efforts to... I wanted to get through all the training and get to some dogfighting today, and we've only made it to the gun pods, and it's already 322, so I've blown my time. So maybe next week on Monday. Tomorrow we're doing the ornithopter thing. Maybe we'll have some time for coming back in and finishing up some of this training. Gun pods, they teach you about how to change the elevation on your gun pods to different degrees. I don't understand that yet fully, or how to target using your gun pods when they're at different elevations, different angles. There's an art to that, which they don't really go over too much. The squall, which is the TV thing, to use guided weapons. Then there's laser guided weapons and a laser guided missile and mercury pod, which hasn't been working for me at all. The mercury pod, which is night vision, for whatever reason, I'm bugged. The night vision doesn't work for me. I don't see how I could be bugged and it's not bugged for other people. I've watched other people doing the video of that mission with the mercury pod, and it looks fine on their screen. Their night vision works just fine. And mine doesn't work. Anti-radar missiles and then air-to-air missiles. Ultimately, I don't know if I would really, really, really love to continue with DCS World. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. And then everything's so expensive. If you want to buy a plane, you're looking at like $70. And I just don't know. I don't know that I want to invest any more time. I did this because I wanted to do some dogfighting. Henning, who was in the chat room earlier, told me they're learning how to dogfight in this and War Thunder. And I already had this on Steam, so... Anyway, it would be lovely to be a good fighter pilot, but it's just such a pain in the butt. And I really miss being in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So... Anyway, so we'll wrap it up there for the day. Let me come back over here. Let this to stream ended. And we will end with our song of the day. Brad Sucks Fixing My Brain. And I will see you tomorrow. Again, we are doing the Microsoft Flight Simulator fly-in tomorrow, starting an hour early tomorrow. If you'd like to join in on that, please do. It's going to be on Twitch. All the information that you need to join in is on the Microsoft Flight Simulator forum, including the flight plan itself, which I'll probably get this evening. And I'm not sure exactly where, but we're going to be flying some desert in the world. Okay. So I will see you tomorrow, folks. You have a great evening and enjoy your flying and shooting and whatever else you're doing.
time up in bed, thinking about the things I think you said. It's been on my mind, and it's hard to find. Bad habits come and go. I'm afraid my mind is getting slow. I've been thinking about fixing my brain, but I'm afraid I won't feel the same. 'Cause baby, it's all I do. I've been thinking about fixing my brain, but I'm afraid I won't feel the same. 'Cause baby, it's all I do. I swear it's not so hard to understand. I just wanna get in the sun again, the sun again, the sun again, the sun again. I swear it's not so hard